Hey, all, Taylor from Daytime here. I was gonna apologize about the lighting in my glasses and what I'm wearing and the fact that I'm eating, but I'm in the middle of a show, Tech Week right now, and this is probably the hardest role I've ever done, the hardest show I've ever done, and it's kicking my butt. So just know that the weekly thing for next week too will probably also be on Tuesday. Again, if the episode is a big deal, like I think tonight's This Is Us is going to be a big deal. Dang, I got to repaint that now. Sorry. It's going to be a big deal, and then I'll separate it. So I'm going to start the last shift because I have two. My bad. First one was episode 5, Warriors, that aired last week on the 7th. Basically, they also had a time jump. It seems to be a thing this year. Time jumps galore. So except in Doctor Who, ironically enough. So I'm sorry, I'm just really hungry. They've time jumped. They found out it was the girlfriend that killed Lieutenant Granderson. They had to find this guy that essentially led them to a thing that led them to Cuba or whatever. And basically, it was a lot of what the aftermath was. Tom Chandler's kids, are having a hard time with all this, specifically his daughter, and all this craziness, and Danny's having a hard time with Frankie, because Frankie accidentally pulls out his knife, but Danny at least, talks to Frankie in the end. So, yeah. And then, excuse me, not last night, 2 nights ago, Sunday nights, the 14th, was airdrop. So a bunch of them and a bunch of Marines went on Marine One to go do something with Cuba. All while Lieutenant Granderson's ex-girlfriend runs to her sister's house, and she goes, I'm trying to figure out a way to say this so that you can understand. Her sister is raising her daughter. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Her sister's raising her daughter, and her daughter calls her sister mom and her aunt. I hope that makes sense. But once she gets a text, she gets the ping, and the new ensign's like, I found her. She's here. Here. Shout out to Sprague Graydon. Haven't seen you since the following. But after they all jump, the plane gets shot down by a battleship. Tom Chandler has to cauterize his wound. That was the second show of Sunday night where someone got an intense wound. I'm happy to know that the rocks worked. But he finds the Cuban general, and they essentially do a bunch of stuff, and now they got to find their way home. However, Tavo, the bad guy, first off, we saw Martinez from The Walking Dead again, but Tavo, the bad guy, essentially doing what was done in World War II. That's how I'm going to phrase that, with a certain group of people. And pretty much my dad and I were like, yeah, his one lieutenant is definitely going to bebop his way out of there or turn against him, most likely his wife as well. So that's about that. Then, This Is Us. I'll start with the past. You find out the Carrie Elways lookalike, Hunter Parrish. I'm shocked I didn't know that was Hunter Parrish. Essentially tries to convince Rebecca to go to New York, and she has a conversation with his mom, Jane Kaczmarczyk from Malcolm in the Middle. And she eventually realizes, especially after going and seeing Jack in a grocery store, and Jack, I'll get to Jack in a second, and Jack telling her, oh, I showed up, but you had the other guy, blah, 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 blah. She realizes she wants to at least try with Jack. So Jack, in the meantime, has gone back home and essentially forced his mom out of the abusive household to go live with a friend. Rebecca comes and meets him at the friend's house and goes, do you want to go on a road trip? And he's like, yeah, where? And she's like, LA. And I was like, gonna see a flipping thing there? Cool beans. So back in the present, I'll start with Kevin first. He goes on Terry Gross's show. Kind of need to start listening to Terry Gross's show. Finds out he really needs to contact more people about his father's time in Vietnam. And somebody, unfortunately an amputee, they do show getting the letter. And Zoe helps him. Kate goes in to have egg retrieval surgery. They are able to get a few. I think 8 was the number. But she has a dream where teenage Kate and younger Kate and Jack are all there. And teenage Kate is trying to tell her no. And she tells her dad, I have to go back. And he's like, oh, I know. And I was like, But then Randall also flies out there to essentially apologize to her. And for what happened at the premiere, because they did have an argument at the premiere. All while Beth is getting fired by Papa Townsend from Turn, John Billingsley. I swear to God, this episode was like, let's bring all of the people from some of the most beloved shows of both mine and other people, to This Is Us. I was like, oh, also you found it in this episode, Rebecca's always been different. Her mom was like a Susie homemaker. She didn't want to be that. She got out of home ec to go to tech class. Like, it was pretty interesting. But Beth, they show flashback between Beth and William, and I'm so happy they did that because I loved their relationship in season 1. I loved their relationship. She actually listened to his advice involving the wedding ring. There's going to be a time you wouldn't want to take that off, but you need to be courageous, and she did at the end of the episode, as Randall's like, I want to run for city council because Deja called me when I was in Los Angeles because Chi-Chi got in the hospital, and I dropped everything and went there. A lot of people are asking how this is going to work with Northern Jersey and there in Philadelphia. Philadelphia's here. You go over a bridge in Camden. New Jersey is right there. Like, I'm not joking. But that is a good point. And she tells him he's been fired, so now one or both of them need to find a job. So that's about that. This week we're finding out about Vietnam. I know I didn't mention anything about next week's last ship because it just looks like an intense battleground scene essentially next week. But this week's, as in tonight's, This Is Us, is like the next episode that we all need to see about Jack. So I'm excited. Next one is Big Bang Theory, Season 4. Excuse me. Season 4. Season 12, Episode 4. I'm losing it, guys. I'm losing it. That's how you know it's a tech week. The Tam Turbulence. So it turns out, by the way, this episode in Episode 3, Mayim Bialik was not available on tape night due to Yom Kippur. So all of her scenes were pre-taped, hence why she wasn't at dinner with the girls. Basically, the girls, they find out they can get into fancy places with Raj's fiance, but of course that in turn, they give out information about Raj. So that's that storyline. But the main storyline is that Sheldon's best friend from young Sheldon, Tam, shows up, and because his son wants to tour the college, and they're trying to figure out why he's number 1 on Sheldon's enemies list. Apparently, Sheldon's enemies list is on a Google Doc now and Google Drive. That's some intense stuff. Howard had to say he wasn't a robot and all that stuff. I was like, what is going on? So turns out when Sheldon was going to grad school or college, I forget, but I want to say grad school, Tam was supposed to come with him to California, and this is one of the best parts. They inserted Tam into certain episodes. The episode where Leonard told Penny about the elevator, the pilot, the episode where Penny gives Sheldon the napkin from Leonard Nimoy. It was great. But you find out Tam stayed in Texas because he had a girlfriend. And Tam ends up telling him after they both have like their moment of apology together, because Tam really didn't apologize, that this was what worked out best for them, and it was. And I will say this, I know that I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I do feel bad for Sheldon in that sense. 14, Dad just passed away, Dad just passed away. Your best friend's supposed to come with you to California, and he doesn't. So now you're all alone at 14 in a state, let alone, in Pasadena in general, which is essentially the greater part of Los Angeles. So I can understand him. I forgot what the coming attractions were, but I do know we're finally having a Halloween episode, and I'm so happy. But I don't think that'll be till next week. Once again, please go on to Grok Nation and read Mayim's little background things that she does for each episode. Set on Young Sheldon, Season 2, Episode 4, Financial Secret and Fish Sauce. I'm going to start by saying this. This was the episode where I think we're going to start seeing the discourse between Sheldon and his dad. Even though Sheldon does love him, as we learned from the wedding episode last year in Big Bang Theory, it was this episode that you start to see the discourse. Basically, Meemaw got pulled over for a DUI, and Georgie was actually driving her home from the dog racetracks. And Big George bailed her out. And Sheldon was doing taxes and was like, where did $300 go? And he's like, you got to keep it a secret from your mom. And that's when he was like, I don't trust you anymore, Dad, blah, blah, blah. So he goes to Tam's house, and Tam, because he's Catholic, they, talk about confession. They also play, and I'm considering it canon that this happened, that Tam introduces Sheldon to Legends of Ka-Ah, the card game that we've seen in the Big Bang Theory. I'm so happy. So, but he back to the confession. Tam teaches him the Catholic confession, so he tells Tam, and then he's happy and fine again, and apparently can go to the bathroom because he keeps a potty journal that his mom reads. Don't know. I think they're also doing a Halloween episode, but I don't know if it's next week, and I forget the coming attractions to next week. So now to Doctor Who. First off, I'm obsessed with the new opening and the new TARDIS. End. So it opens with Graham, and oh my god, why am I... One week I'm going to forget the female companion's name, and one week I'm going to forget another person's name. But Graham and the other gentlemen are on a ladies' spaceship, and the Doctor and Yaz are on a male's spaceship, and you find out that these two are fighting this thing to win a prize, and it connects to the monster that we saw in last week's episode. And the prize, they have to find, essentially, in order to get the prize, they have to find the TARDIS, and it only shows up every 1,000 years or so. So of course the Doctor's all happy and everything, and it was very much an episode about... This is a very quick recap. This is very much an episode about what happens when people have too much control, or people have these ambitions, and how to start moving forward from loss. And I don't think this is the last we're seeing of some of these characters, hence why I'm keeping this recap a little short. So I'm really excited. And then comes Sunday night's Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 2, The Bridge. So, and yes, I have it all written down right here for once. I know. Miracle. Bless. So, I'm going to start off by saying that Make a Path Presents did a video about the trailer last week. where they found whisperers in the big herd that Tara was watching. I fully believe that theory. I'm gonna say something at the end too that Trev's Chan 2 discussed. Trev's Chan 2. Shout out to both of you. Ronnie and Trev. Ronnie's Make a Path Presents. I feel like Jesus is playing both sides a little. I don't know about the rest of you. Let me know down in the comments down below. But I feel like Jesus is playing both sides, and that scares me. I mean, Maggie, Daryl going off, he's always going off. But, like, Maggie talking to Michonne, not like a friend, that's scaring me. But Jesus playing both sides. And, like, the way Tom Payne was answering questions on the couch on The Talking Dead, I was like, he's playing sides. And poor Tom Payne's got to watch what he says. So, they open up. They're at a satellite camp to build this bridge. It's been 35 days. Oh, no, they open up with Rick going down to the cell because you find out it's been 35 days since Gregory was hung. These time jumps, man. I am like, what's going on? What? Like, this and the last ship are like pulling out all the stops with all the crazy medical things and all the crazy time jumps. And I'm just like, what am I, like, I can't. Like, but I'm happy that they put that in the exposition. But they're on a limited time because this makeshift dam that Abraham made isn't going to last that much longer. Dun, dun, dun. So, meanwhile, Maggie's training a horse. And Earl is still in jail that he built, apparently. Excuse me. And a bunch of saviors have gone missing. Like a bunch, meaning 6. So they're building the bridge, and you found out Aaron adopted Gracie. Oh my God, such an adorable moment between Aaron and Daryl. And he goes to Daryl and he's like, "You made a great dad." And Daryl's like, but that's when little Henry, who's become an expert at the Aikido stick, Morgan, you be proud, has a issue with a savior who looks like Shane. So I thought this was going to be John Bernthal's episode. I was totally wrong. Wants more water. Attempts to fight the kid. Henry knocks him over with a Aikido stick. By the way, Carol and Ezekiel have adopted him, essentially. And Jerry and Navia are a couple, too. And they have a huge fight on the bridge. All this stuff's going on. Now they got to get this herd away so they can continue building this bridge. All while they're doing this, Maggie's trying to figure out, she finally lets Earl's wife see him. Find out Earl was an alcoholic. She goes and she finds out why. She feels some remorse and tells Michonne, "I do want to make rules between the Commonwealth, but I still want to run things my way." And Michonne goes, "Well, why did you let him out?" And she goes, "Well, first off, he's a blacksmith. He can fix the plow. We can make the food for them. That way we can go get the fuel. Plus, my dad was an alcoholic," which just made that episode more bittersweet because of Scott Wilson's passing. By the way, she also painted all her family members so that little Herschel could see what they looked like. I thought that was amazing. And pretty much everyone is like, well, yeah, Gregory deserved to die, but Earl, And she goes, "So that's why, blah, 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 he can work his way back." Meantime, Alden, aka Backstreet Boy Savior, goes to Rick. "We're missing 6 people, and one of them just had a kid they would not leave behind. And the other one had like a sick parent or something." And I was like, and then Tara was doing the thing, and the first siren goes off, which is Jerry. The second one ain't going off, which causes, and look, I'm not blaming the guy that dropped the tree. Daryl told him to run. He panicked. He jumped. Aaron pushed the other guy. His arm got pegged under a thing. And they have to go back to camp, and Enid, because Deke's been teaching her, had to amputate Aaron's arm. Daryl gets pissed, hits the guy. Later on, Rick banishes him as Ezekiel and Carol are getting engaged. speech. I prepared a speech, which I'm sure I can hear later. I was like, bless. But, oh, and in the meantime, Anne, aka Jadis, and Father Gabriel are hooking up, and she sees the helicopter again. But the real big thing came at the end. Da, 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 da. We just got a whisper of tease. There are people, like the woman who was on the Talking Dead with everybody. She was a member of the Winans Gospel choir family. I hope I said that right. Why did I say gospel choir family? I don't know. That was just the best way to describe it at the moment. She doesn't read the comics, so she doesn't know about the Whisperers. So she was like, I wouldn't be shocked if it was Daryl or Carol. And I was like, okay, this is I like hearing the theories of people who haven't read the comics, but this is so a Whisperers moment. Because the Whisperers so had whatever savior was on their face. And he was like, oh, dude, I almost killed you. Ugh. Like, which is making me think, because everyone knows Maggie has 6 episodes. I believe Rick has 6 too. That doesn't necessarily mean that episode 6 they're both going to be gone. Do you know what I mean? So Maggie could even be in the second half, guys. Plus Maggie, I pretty much confirmed she's not dying. It's going to be open-ended. That's at least what we've been hearing. But I'm wondering if we're going to get the episode with Dan Fogler and Lauren Ridloff and everybody else in the coming weeks. I'm so excited for the Whisperers. I can't freaking wait. Okay. So I mentioned Trev's Chan too at the beginning of this Walking Dead recap. Because next week just looks... First off, who's Discount Glenn in the trailer? Maggie and Daryl either found the gas or going to find gas. Which does look sketchy because it's 2 of the 3 people from the end of last season. But at the same time, I'm happy Maggie's at least with Daryl. There's a lot of other stuff going on with the big fight at the camp. Because they pissing off Carol. So I watched this video because, long story short, before it was confirmed Ross Marquand is in Infinity War. Yes, he's in Infinity War. I'll still keep some secrets, but he's in Infinity War. But you can look it up by now, guys. It's been a while. Granted, we're not still over it, but it's been a while. Ross Marquand and Alicia Debnam Carey went to the premiere of Avengers Infinity War, and I guess that was to kind of throw people a little bit, plus give the AMC support. But I remember watching the premiere, interviews from the red carpet from Variety and, the Hollywood Reporter, and they interviewed him as a member of the cast. And at that time, he had the beard. And I was like, well, maybe they're growing it. They're going to shape it weird. But the beard looked like Rick does in the comics. And in the comics, Rick's the one who loses his hand. So they're essentially modeling Aaron after Rick. However, Trev Chan got a question. And Trev actually was like, this actually isn't a bad question. It's kind of plausible. Will Aaron eventually take over as the leader? And to be honest with you, that would be a really interesting turn. Because everyone's expecting Carol, Daryl, Michonne, Enid. Nobody's expecting Aaron when Aaron was the first person we met from Alexandria. So I'm very intrigued to see where this goes. So, any one of these shows, let me know what you all thought down in the comments down below. Again, if it's a bigger episode, I will make a separate recap for it. Most likely the Big Bang Theory Halloween episodes will be, and the Young Sheldon will be like that. Most likely this week's This Is Us. Don't be shocked if you see a This Is Us recap tomorrow. I have rehearsal tonight, but I'm going to be watching it first thing tomorrow morning. But that just to let you guys know. So, let me know what you all think down in the comments down below. Make sure you specify which show. I mean, obviously character-wise, I'll be able to tell who you're talking about. But make sure you specify which show down below. Please like and subscribe. Sorry about this craziness today, guys. And Have a good day. Thanks, guys.